to another session with Paintology. So, I've been researching on the subject of art and really trying to find what it is that makes drawing difficult for some some users and a lot of people, and the reason why they give it up. And one of the problems is their appreciation of values. You must have heard the word value in painting or drawing used umpteen times, but without really fully appreciating what it is. And this spurred me to make this session with an example which you can do yourself. There is perfectly okay to do it yourself. It's when you look at a piece of art that's been done by someone, it is because they have understood values. And this session is going to explain through the Paintology drawing app your increase your understanding of what values are and why they are important to drawing and how you can become more appreciative of those parameters that are fundamental to art. Okay, so let's dive in really quickly. I've got the Paintology app here and I've downloaded this drawing, well, this image, reference image in trace mode for you to appreciate what values are and how we use. Some of you might be acquainted with the term block coloring that I use, which is not used elsewhere. And block coloring is actually the best way for you to appreciate value. So make sure you have your Android phone app with you. If you're going to follow this session, you will probably learn a lot more if you were to do this in practice with me. So as you probably new to the Paintology, if you're not, you'll have seen many drawings made, and they're essentially made because I have an increased awareness of values, and values from the most basic form is when you look at this, I can see thousands of values. I don't know about you. I can see thousands, and what are they? Well, basically, if I go to the grayscale mode, just to show you, it is you appreciate values a lot better if you use the gray tones. So much better to appreciate it. Don't think about the colors just yet, but look at the grayscale because it's one scale where values exist. Yeah, look. They, they exist on the grayscale mode here, and it's dark all the way to the right and very light all the way to the left. We'll put that in the middle, all the way to the right. Now, I'm saying there's thousands of values here, so let's open up the color picker, clear it, and let's pick out some obvious values, which are the light and dark tones. The sun is the center point. Pick that out. Let's use the color picker. I'm sorry, let's use the color picker. And you can see, oops, that didn't quite work well. Let me go to the color picker. It's not, sorry, just give me a few seconds. All right, we go. Yeah, it was a slight glitch on the, so let's go to midway. As you know, if you've used the trace, you'll know how the trace bar works. Keeping the cursor on top half of the trace bar allows you to reference the values, the colors, and the tones of the reference image. Anything here is your drawing. So this is how we make a lot of great drawings using this feature. And I have to tell you, you don't need to be skilled in art drawing to use this method of coloring, which I called block coloring. Anyone can do that, and it's really fun actually. You'll be surprised with, you'll be impressed with your friends and family with what you can do. So again, let's pick the color picker and let's pick that tone. Did you see it came here? Now we know that there's a darker value on this wave. Look how far it goes away. Yeah, let's pick that white value again. Sorry, that didn't cursor didn't move. There's a glitch there. That was here. And now let's pick another white. Yeah, do you see that? How it went all the way to the left. And see that? No, we're gonna pick that. Do you see how that went? This value of the sky. And then let's pick another one here. This one went there. So it's really propagating on all, practically on all throughout the scale from left to right. That is inherently the value. And if you look, you can get, if you break that down gradient wise, there are thousands, millions of values. And look what we picked, how many values we picked all together, just from those few. That essentially is what will make your drawing good or bad. And it's not about just using one value like in a line tool and then creating. Of course, you can do that. A lot of people do that and create line drawings, right, with a pen or pencil ink. But if you're using pencil, you'll see some good artists have that range of values that they can apply to their drawing. So how are we going to create this? And this, believe me, you can do without any drawing skills. So the way I look at this drawing is that I'm going to use the shade brush, and shade is a lovely brush. And I normally use one or two brushes for all my drawings. I'm not looking for a brush to create an effect. I make the effect, and I'll show you that later. So let's look at the shade brush. So as you know, this is my brush, and I'm here, somewhere here on the value. Let me pick that somewhere here on the value scale, yeah, isn't this? And this is what it looks like. Let's increase that. That's it. That's what it looks like. Okay. All right, let's delete that. And then if you want to do those waves, get the color picker. Do you see how far it went to the right? And then we'd be doing it. You see? That's how we'll be deriving the black. But because I have a little bit of experience, I can say that the line brush will work better with the high contrasting waves, and the sky will be better with the shade. So we got the shade here, as you can see. Now let's switch to line, and then I will show you what the line looks like. They're very harsh, and you need to, that is the reason why the line has a density, so you can build it up. These small techniques of learning how to use the brush is sufficient for you to make an excellent drawing. And this is simply, in essence, the same thing as you do with a pencil and paper, isn't it? And you're scratching your head thinking how some can make fantastic drawings, whereas you're still, you know, trying to figure out how it's all done. Well, you will if you understand what these values are and if you go through practicing on this session, yeah? So I'm going to set a high brush size here, as I've done, maybe 30%, and then go through top, all the way from top to down. working my way down. So I'm going to first apply a thick brush. I'm not worried about the details yet. They will come later. And but this is called the coarse block coloring, where you're going to appreciate the tones that are applied to a drawing, okay? And then just build those tones, the broad tones that this drawing consists of, the broader tones. So the sky is very, like, if you notice, the gradient is slow, low, and then it does go to a darker value at the horizon. And then if you notice the sea, it's all dark, white, very contrasty, and that's why I'm going to use the line brush, which is ideal for that. So let's work our way down. So we've worked this, we've found out this approximate size. Let's clear that for now. And then let's pick the color tone of the top part. And that's the, oops, remember I said I was going to use shade brush. So let's switch to shade. Okay, we're on the shade. And we're going to keep increase that because we can get away with a larger brush. Okay, I'm not picking out the tone, I'm using the color picker to draw out the tone. There you are. I'm using the color picker, and then I'm applying it like a pencil, and then you can see here, keep going here, and then keep going down to the horizon, and then we'll see what it looks like. Okay, see the values are increasing. So it gets darker. Remember I told you it's darker in the horizon, and now, okay, now let's look at it. Wow, see how much variation we've created. So the value has been adjusted by also your application of your, this, I'm using a stylus by the way, but perfectly, you can use this finger as well, and you're free to use a finger. I'm using a stylus for convenience sake so I can see what I'm doing, but I've made some excellent drawings in the live stream you can see using just my fingers. So you'll see, compared to that previous drawing, the values of the sky has been created with this selecting the color picker. So if we, let's say, pick this color picker here, this value here, and let me lower the size a bit so I can show you. I do one stroke. Okay, that's not quite close to the value of that, but that's the purpose of the shade brush. I keep building it and it will reach that color, that dense color. It's just like a pencil. All right, we've got it. So if you use one or two light strokes, you can still achieve the value, providing you go and achieve the same light stroke on the top. Look at that, compared to this to this. So two strokes. If you were to keep applying darker strokes, naturally a pencil applies darker strokes, right? So let's finish this. I'm not worried about the sun. Let's take our way back and just do a broad sky of the values that I'm seeing. And if you notice, when you look at this drawing, what do you see? The values from the sun increases towards a darker value away from the sun in the horizon, to the left edge, to the right edge. So if you were clever enough, not clever, right? Let's say if you wanted to, you could use a circular stroke, right? Using your common sense here. Let's take it down 30% and then work work circular. Let's do that. Pick the next one, which is the next one. I'm working a circular, and then the next one, circular strokes. See? And then next one. But here is the problem. If you worked in a circular strokes, it would only go up to here where I'm horizontal. Otherwise, that light stroke will go into that, isn't it? Makes sense. This is part of the beauty of drawing, actually. And you're going to appreciate that as you keep drawing. So let's finish what we've drawn here on that. Don't worry about how it looks. And let me keep working using horizontal strokes. So use just the right amount of strokes that you would typically use. Don't use any more than you are using. Okay, so there is, just lighten that bit, and then I'm going to add, going back to that, just, okay, and then that's what I'm doing, is trying to use the color tone to finish that, the sky. So now looks like a swirling mass of gas, I think, and that's fine for now because I'm not perfecting it yet. And now the horizon, I'm going to use the line brush. So I'm going to use a common color and go through it in broad strokes. So that's like the foundational tone that I'm going to use and build up the remainder of the tone. So I'm going to pick the color here. You can see it's like 2/3 of the way up. Switch to line. Okay, let's take it to 100%. Leave it at 30% and then just go here. Oops. I'm just basically covering with one tone. One tone. Have you noticed I'm not really doing any drawing? I'm letting the app allow me to draw it this way, and it's helping me to already appreciate tones. Yeah, and then as we get deeper into the drawing, you're going to reduce the brush size so I can follow that horizon, and notice that ship, the far distance, the nice little ship. Do you notice that? Okay, so what we have here now, so we have the horizon meets the sky, the water meets the sky. Okay, all right, now let's tidy it up, and you could use your hands to tidy things up, but there's some nice fancy tools that you could use, which is the straight lines, and let's reduce that. Yeah, so we can make the horizon a bit more straight. Just follow the horizon. Then let's not do that. I don't want to complicate the whole thing just yet. So let's look at it now. What it looks like. If it's not straight, we'll correct it later. So now look at the image. Very light reflection of the sun that's there. So I'm going to do something which is work on the sea. I'm going to ignore the sky for just now and then work on the sea. So I can see dark big dark wave here, another dark wave here, and then grey tones, greys, lower values, darker values in the horizon. But where the sun is reflecting on the surface, there's lighter tones. And these are the values that is going to make this drawing pop out once it's done. And this is where Paintology really comes in. Let's save this drawing. This is why the app was designed to make you a better artist, yeah? So if you're telling me you can't do this, then I'm sorry. That means you're not able to zoom. Okay? So, sorry, I should turn off notification, but that's okay. So let's pick the color picker and pick this, right? And we're going to replicate, look at I lowered the size. We're going to replicate these colors. Look. Remember, we have it in straight lines, so we're going to take that off. Okay, so what we're doing is we're zooming in, noticing the variation in the values and replicating the correct values by using the color picker. Look, that's what I'm doing. Is keep continuing to pick the color picker and then applying these colors and values to closely resemble what's in the reference image. And I'm using a larger brush just to show you. And then we can, once we got the effect that we're looking for with the values, this is what artists do. They draw, see what's changing, and then make adjustments to it. I'm just going to draw on this left side. And then you'll be able to see what I mean by keeping values, by replicating the values, and I'm not drawing, am I? I'm just following the reference image, including the values that I'm picking out from the reference image. Okay, that will continue to develop, and as you develop it, you'll be surprised at what it looks like because your eyes are now seeing these variations in values. Look, that consist of the sea. So let's go through it really quickly, and this is where the fun starts. I'm just picking out these different values in one pass at the lower thin brush, 2%, more less than 2%. Let me just go across the horizon using the reference image, taking out the dark tones, and then even the little broad lighter tones in between. Look at that, that's so light. That is also being picked up. That's not really drawing, that's like copying, isn't it? And copying is the most important skills in the development of art skills. And if anyone tells you otherwise, just ignore them, okay? Because I can draw freehand, and the reason why I can draw so well is because I've used tools like this. Okay, I'm following what I'm seeing, even this larger brush. See, it's picking it out automatically. It's not even drawing, is it? But it's fun, because what you'll see is your creation will come alive because you are replicating the values that you're seeing in the drawing. in the reference image, and your appreciation of those values increases as you draw, as you are doing this. And what does that mean? It means that your artistic skills will grow in time. Right? So we're just doing it very quickly, just picking it out because there's so much randomness, you don't care. If you apply it enough times, you will see these. There you are. So we've done that. Now let's work on the center. I want to show you how we keep working on the center. Zoom in. That's what makes drawing on the phone so much better, and you'll be surprised with your progress. Okay, so you're still sticking to 1.6. You'd think that was a very thin brush, but it's not. In reality, it's not. So notice these little jabs of white. Just sort of use your hand-eye coordinates to replicate these jabs of white. Right? So we know that there's so many different values. Look how it's shifting as we pick out. This helps you two ways. Start appreciating values, and at the same time refine your drawing skills as you follow the structure of the reference image. Beginners tend to make the mistakes, well, the artist did it from A to B, they got it to A to Z, and so must I, and then they're wondering what are all the small steps to get to there, and they're speculating, and they keep speculating until they eventually give the universal answer. I just haven't got the skill. Everyone else is talented. Believe me, if you go through your life thinking that, you will know you'll always regret, because you're trying to find excuses for you not to keep pursuing it and not being able to do something which some can do, and you're giving the wrong excuses for not doing it. So as you can see, I'm a great believer that you can pick up any skills, and there is no such thing as talent. These talents are all learned through doing things like this, helping you to achieve your goals. So you should be always open to new methods of drawing. And this is, I have to say, is a very unique method of drawing, which not many I don't think any digital people offer. And most digital applications that you find are designed to give you tool after tool after tool. Doesn't teach you any of the merits of drawing. And then some beginners come to my app and they say, oh, it hasn't got this brush, hasn't got this brush, hasn't got this. And I'm thinking, God, they're driven by brushes, not techniques. So that's why they're never going to learn the fundamentals. So we can sort of zoom out and see what happens, right? It is a form. I can see it, but you may not. It is a form coming into shape. So we keep working on that because the original is that those details are tiny. They're not like simple one or two waves. It gives the illusion of waves, and that's what we're trying to achieve. So keep at it, and that's what I'm gonna do. So you can keep watching me. I'm at 500%, and I've still got 1.6 at the setting. And the more you go over it, the more accurate your underlying drawing, your drawing will be close to the underlying drawing. Makes sense, doesn't it? And then you can keep going over it again, no problem. Keep going over it again. So I'm just covering, just picking out randomly these strokes. I don't know how it's going to appear. I've never done this drawing before, so it'd be interesting to see something new that's been done. Notice I don't shift too far away from the region, otherwise I'm applying the tones that are in that region to another region, and we know those tones change in value, or these values that we're working on to replicate. So this is the essence of values, and if you're looking for a practical way to appreciate value, this method of block coloring really gets you honed in what values represent. See how that changed? Okay, and keep working smaller regions, because that top part of the wave may be different to the middle part here and may be different to here. That's why I'm making those fine adjustments. Look here, and so I'm not using one big. If you were to do it in one big stroke like we did the sky, it would appear, but the shade doesn't appear blocky. It would appear blocky and too blocky, and it would be like, looks like someone from a youngster did it. So once we've got this pass here, we can start refining it. Yeah, you zoom in as you see fit. I'm using the reference image to make these horizontal line strokes, nothing else. And if you come across a lighter value, like for example here, here, make sure you add that, because that's what the contrast is seen by the eye. Alright, so just going quickly sweeping through it. Okay. And then notice how I keep going to the color picker and picking these different regions. If I did not, it would be the same flat color. And these are different values that are being added to my drawing. Okay, remember we're doing the same thing. You could watch the grayscale, how it moves on the gray position. You see how they're moving ever so lightly, and the reason why doing it this way is because you are creating the different values which the eyes cannot see very easily. But of course, digitally, it is much more competent in picking out the exact color grayscale tone of. So it's all light here, using broad sweeps because I don't want to spend all day doing this, and I'm sure you have better things to do as well. Not that drawing is not a good thing to do, but you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm gonna just keep doing that, and then when I get to that water thing, I'm gonna show you how wonderful. Look how bright it is. Look at the contrast. That's what gives it so much depth. Let's see what happens. See, these waves are now taking shape. You see it? That's just beautiful to see, isn't it? It's like now you've created the values. Look at this. If you were to pick up the color picker, all these tones, look at that. Such a range of tones, and you can't see all of it. It's probably like 50 more that if this entire drop down, and you could, you know, and see all the tones that have come up. Yeah. So let's keep working on it. Remember this, we haven't changed the settings of the brush size. We're still using have you seen where we're operating now? The gray tones. See how quickly it moved. And now I'm using a smaller range. Automatically I'm using a much smaller range of blocks. So because I want to get these details down. But I'm still stubbornly sticking to this to 1.6%, but you can experiment. But I'm using a much smaller range to get the tiny details. Oops, sorry, I made a mistake. You should always be. That's why I wasn't getting the strokes. I mistakenly had it at the my canvas level, and that was a mistake on my part. But sorry about that. It's getting carried away. Okay. So the way the color picker works is quite interesting. You pick the color picker, then you land wherever you want to land. You have one chance at this, and then it will carry that color. Don't think that you can keep dotting around the place. It will retain the color that you've landed on. It's a very different operation which you will appreciate only if you try it. So if you land, that's it. That's the color you're going to pick. So don't land on the region and think you can pick up the color picker again and do it. And there's very good reason for drawing like this is because block coloring is far faster and you would spend 3-4 times the time if because otherwise you'd be deselecting the color picker all the time, right? So you pick the region, and if you haven't done, if you made a mistake, then pick it again. Very easy to do. I'm not using any drawing techniques as such. Remember this little area? It's got these dots. I'm using the same format as the shapes that are formed here. Right. We could revisit this again. This one pass may not be enough, and if you notice, most of my drawings are done with 3, 4, 5 passes, and then they get better and better each time. Alright, let's look at it now. That's getting better, isn't it? But we need to keep working on this, the areas here. So let's go here. Let's just finish this very quickly. That's the beauty of drawing, is that you can really work at speed. And then we can go into the details once we're... So I'm picking out these tones that I think should be replicated. But I'm not, but I want to cover the region first. Like, I want to cover as much of the area as possible as first. Because if you remember, one of the techniques of drawing is if you don't get to the second stage, you'll always be on the first stage. What that means is that it's only through drawing will you know what the next step is. You've never finished a drawing in one pass. If you think that's the way people should draw, then they're using a different methodology which I'm not familiar with, and it's probably hyperrealism that they're trying to achieve, pixel by pixel drawing, which you've heard of. And that doesn't interest me because I'm not developing any techniques. So quickly go through. All right. Where you see the different tones, just keep applying it. Your color picker will do all the work. This white bit is something that I need to make sure it replicates. So So I'm aware of that. See how the tones changed on this side? You can see the dynamic shifts in the tones and values as you keep doing this. This will expand your understanding of tones, and the reason why you can actually get so much, your brain becomes so much more acute in picking out the tones as you draw, that this is where you probably hate the word, but practice is what's going to get you there, because with practice you're turning your brain into a much more skillful tool, using it to bring out, look at the drawings with your muscle control on what needs to be applied. All right, let's see what we have here. Well, it's coming together, isn't it? Okay, and then we can touch it up and make it more. Let's save it. And then this is not really the perfect wave as such, in my opinion. And what we need to do is I need to work on this horizon. Remember I was telling you? So what I'm going to do is stick to the line brush, and I'm going to use the straight lines, so the line brush still there, and then I'm going to use this as a way to can see that I'm using the line brush to keep that horizon. So color picker. So when because the horizon is an important straight line activity, so I want to make sure I don't I don't look like it's a horizontal. So that's, look at that. I can see that. So now, since I'm doing that, I can actually, let's take the next shade of that. Let me show you, since I'm doing this, is the shade, and then we're going to do blending. So line brushes still can be used for blending, and I'll show you. Notice I'm following the shape, right? And I take that, even though I said we're going to use the shade brush, the line is also equally good in doing some of the colors of the sky as well. In fact, I've used the line brush in yesterday's drawing where I drew the clouds using just the line brush. It's a straight line. Remember, I'm using a straight line here You don't have to, so let's take that straight line away and then let's zoom out to see how we're doing. Okay, it's okay. And if we want to, we can just keep working way out. Notice that circular around the sun. Let's do that. There's another technique you're going to learn. Because it actually follows on from yesterday when I was doing the clouds with the line brush. Intuitively, you wouldn't think that you do clouds with a line brush, because a shade is a fluffy type of brush, but just works equally well. And the reason why it works well is because you have much degree of control over the tonal values at such a smaller scale. And the smaller scale means you can zoom in. And the reason you saw me how I created the waves, I zoomed in, right? Following that. So I'm still using it to the underlying tone. See, if you use a bigger one, that's what happens. So, okay. So that's now casting like a large, light on those waves, which we will correct, okay? So now you're wondering, well, how am I going to blend this? Now look at that. Let's bring that here. See, because I used a smaller, now I'm going to try and blend. But look at the adjacent values here. Can you see? That improves. And then I go here. Look at how the change from there to there. Look at that change. See in the tone. So what we're going to do is look at that area there. Right. If you pick a bigger brush size, you're obviously going to carry that in. There, we're going to pick that. See, if you pick one brush size and you take it too deep, the region, then obviously that's going to have an effect on the tone values here, like here, for example, here. And look what we've got. Let's go here and look at the value change. See the value change there? That's actually a good way of showing you how the values change. And here, let's look here. Right, let's look here. Look at that. It's changed. So what we could do is you could just pick out the lighter tones. This is a form of blending because we're going to have the sun there. And now I'm going to show you how to blend this. It's a very interesting form of blending. So we have it at 15, let's say 9%, 10%. Okay, and let's pick this adjacent. And now this is where the density comes in. I'm going to take that down and then let's blend the blending. That's it. Look, it's blended. And now we can do the same thing here. Take the color down, obviously, but make sure you pick the actual color. This one, let's say, and then right, just keep doing that very quickly, and then you'll see what I'm saying, what I mean. And then here, it's blending. And then if it's blending too hard, take the density down. Right? And then this color here, and then let's blend it. Let's increase it a little bit. And if you're not seeing it, increase the density, so you don't have to use hundreds of strokes. Right, increase the density. Right, blending more, right? Okay. So the shade would have obviously been quicker, but since we're doing this, so that's the color of that gray. And then I'm following a circular stroke, and you probably know why I'm doing that, because the sun is right in the middle, and it will add a nice, beautiful effect to the whole scene. Let's see where the sun is. There, so let's pick that. Let's make sure we've got that spot. Yep, where the sun is. So just blending it. Now pick the adjacent colors, blend. We can work on the bottom horizon a bit later. Let's pick that color. It's all experimentation. I don't normally, not this is not a typical drawing that I would do. I just picked it out yesterday, thinking it'd be a good class to do with the users who like to watch my channel. The videos I make, right? So let's just finish this all the way around, create that circular nice effect. It's like an effect, isn't it? Let's save it. All right. And let's get this so it doesn't look like as though there's lines. And then, so it's practice actually. That's all it is, just practice. And then you'll get a good feel of what these density settings do. You probably don't have any idea why I'm selecting this density, but that's only because I've got a good idea of got a good feel of what it does if I apply a line. It's not a line. I don't look at the reason why I can draw like this. I don't look at it like a line. Now we can blend this purplish haze, right? Get rid of that, and then increase that. Don't know how I managed to get that purple haze actually. It's a grayscale, isn't it? How did I manage to do that? Weird. Okay, so look at what I'm doing. I'm creating this circular line effect. Go, oops. So we can take that down. whatever you see, right? So now we can see here, we need to probably expand this. And again, increase that. And increase it. Increase even more. Until you see the effect. And then decrease it. So you can get the effect. Then even use the all right, now that's almost looking like as though it's the sun, isn't it? And we can keep working on that. When that purple haze is really confusing me, how that lovely purple haze come into it, but we can use it to good effect, isn't it? That's what art's about. Yeah. So this is just using the line brush. So we can finish it off with the thing, but let's finish these waves, these lovely waves. And the way to do that is now we have the blending tool. We could really, because look, this wave is, let's look at the original. We can use this blending here and the smaller brush to blend it. That's just popped into my head. I don't know why, but because it's sharp, let's try it. Because what I mean by sharp is too contrasty. Look here. So if we were to, it's too big, isn't it? Let's go. No. Right, so we could just basically just create another type of blending, which is like a form of just, look at that, it's still too big, can you believe it? Because these are the tiny details. So we're basically, now I'm going to use that, just gives the illusion that it's not like a sharp contrast, is it? It shouldn't be. You can follow that. Let's take some of that white and put it there. Right. So this is something new. I haven't done this before, but that's the beauty of art, isn't it? You can do things like this. Add a little bit of a, let's see what it looks like. Getting better, isn't it? And then here, you can see this region here. We're going to try and use this method, the thin brush, very thin, and then take some of that color, right? The illusion, that's the illusion. You've got control over that. Control over the density. Right. Okay. So it doesn't look like a blob of white. It looks like it's flowing through, isn't it? Let's see what it looks like better. Okay. Then here we're now. Okay, so this I'm going to come to this point and explain a few things. The fact that I'm able to make that next step in the drawing is entirely because I'm at this stage. So this is a very fundamental point many beginners miss out. It's the reason why I'm going to say, well, you know, I can draw more gray tones here is because I've got this adjacent drawing already done. Okay? So this is a very important point to understand. And most beginners do not, because they look at it like A and B, you know, getting A to B. It's the whole composition that will add to the details. See, it's already getting better, isn't it? And now you can see the reason I've worked my way up from the back. It's the reason why I can is that now it looks pretty obvious that this needs to be addressed. So now it's very easy. Can break it down, right? That's all it is, just lines. Because they're not a solid liquid mass, is it? Just add little these. Right? Adds to it, doesn't it? If you want to do it more. Look, it's that little, those little sails that keep. All right. This is what you start appreciating when you just draw. Now I'm actually drawing now, but I have the foundation of the drawing which I did for using very simplistic method. Just using sense of eye coordinates. It's very fun drawing actually. I haven't done this before. Now you can see here, I feel I need to do a bit more looking at the whole composition. It's like a wave type effect. So I can, let's see if I can create this wave type effect. If the straight line's not going to do it, perhaps this jab is going to do it. Because remember, at the foreground, we have much more little tiny details that you could not see typically. At the back, you know. So I'm just adding this texture-like effect here. Then maybe a bit more of the dark here. Yeah. It's just a texture. I mean, if I'm not now following the... So, yeah, it looks like a texture type effect. Now I can see this area here, this. Let's go here and pick a little bit larger, and let's soften this area, right? Oops, too harsh. But then you can always go over it. What the? Come on. Please. There's that glitch I was telling you about. So it doesn't have to be the line. Tapping into it, yeah? Now I can see that this probably needs a little bit of examination. All right, let's see. Much better. And then you can probably use a little streak there. But a streak here. Right, giving the illusion. Oops. You can see how the different tones, now your appreciation of tones has increased. So you won't forget that blob here. So now, yep, we have this one. Let's just take that, kill that little protrusion, and then take... All right. So here we have this part as well. We can diffuse that. Take that, the harsh tones away. So, okay, so I think that's all right. And then let's be clever and use the shade brush. And let me work around that top area, yeah? The sun, it's very interesting. Let's save that in case I need to rework it. And I can always pull it out of the app. So let's pick a 30% for now. That looks very well diffused. And then let's go down, go up. Okay. And then actually go, oops, let me go. All right. And then I can come back to it. It's just something I feel that I can do, have some fun, you know? And then work your way up. And if you want to keep this gray tones is all right. So It's too dark, too light. Alright, and then alright, then let's pick that down. Just work around it. Let's work around it so I'm talking to myself a little bit. And now we can probably make that little tiny sun a little white, really white as this. That's really important. No. Okay, so let's see what it looks like. It looks quite interesting, isn't it, if anything? And maybe we could tone that down here. This is where I'm turning to my drawings, trying to create, like, what do you call it? Creativity. Turning to my creativity to bring out, add more to this original. Right. To know, and then maybe pick this tone here and just lighten it a little bit. It's entirely up to you how you do it. Okay, so I think we're pretty much done. I hope you've seen the value of the session in tone. The only part where I started drawing and getting to my elements was towards the end when I was looked at the whole composition and image of my drawing and then working towards bettering it. But previously you made a perfectly good drawing prior to this, which you could be quite proud of. And and you can see the kind of drawings that you can make. So I hope you've learned something about tones and values. So let me go back to the line. I'll sign it. Oops, too harsh. So you can take some lovely drawings of images, do block coloring, and doesn't have you need drawing skills, but it develops your drawing skills. And as you keep doing it, you will get better and better in drawing. Your appreciation of tones will increase. So I hope you have learned something on values. So please leave comments so I can better direct my responses to the user base. And if you have anything topics you want to talk about, please do leave a comment. And to help me keep these free Paintology app and the tutorials going and running, it helps me to know that I have a user base who are appreciative of the hopefully these skills that you want to learn and improve in art. And so art is not difficult. Anyone can do it. And hopefully this will show you the path. Thank you. Until another time. Bye bye.